You're not a New York Yankees fan, are you?
A what?
A New York Yankees fan.
Yeah, of course.
Oh.
And you just love New Era caps.
I liked you until this moment. I'm a big Boston Red Sox fan, you see.
But yeah, basically, I don't normally do interviews as you see on SBTV, but I thought I'm going to do this one, yeah, because I feel as the founder of SBTV,
Yeah.
like, so I had a lot of people sending questions through Facebook and Twitter and stuff, so I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
Do you think politicians these days embrace hip-hop and youth culture enough?
You know, the thing that people say is like embarrassing dad dancing, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, your kids don't want to see you dancing at the, you know, at the family wedding. Sometimes it's a bit like young people of my generation embracing hip-hop, it feels a bit...
Yeah, I know that.
Do you know what I mean?
I know that, but
you don't want to see me doing hip-hop.
Yeah, I know that. Alright, cool. More in a youth culture. Like in a million years, like when I was back in school, I would never think I'd be sitting down with the leader of the Labour Party, like stuff like that. So like you taking time out will show the youth that you're embracing it.
Yeah, you know that is totally true. Well, that is totally true. And look, that what you say about what you felt when you were at school shows how distant politics is from most people's lives. They think that politicians are totally from another planet. And you know, have nothing to do with them.
The thing which I think about that is because it gives off that effect. Like for example, becoming an entrepreneur, people just think you have to be someone to become an entrepreneur. It just couldn't be you. And I think that kind of distance, like that bridging that gap between the youth and politics, needs to be established. How do you think that could work? Doing stuff like this or going back?
That's what I was saying earlier on. You've got to go to the places that young people go. That's why when I met you, I thought, well, I'd really want to be on your program because, you know, if I just go to the traditional places where young people don't go, so like, you know, the 10 o'clock news or the 6 o'clock news, now some young people watch that, but lots of young people don't. So let's go to the places which actually matter to young people and where they go, not just expect them to come to us.
This is one from Liam Adams. If 16-year-olds have to pay as adults, why can't they be treated like adults? For example, voting.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, you know, you can pay taxes, you can join the army, you can even get married if you've got parental consent, but you know, I think definitely people should have the vote. And because it would force politicians to listen to 16 to 18-year-olds. That's the main thing. Yeah. That's the main reason.
This is from Kaylee Hayden. Tax has gone up, university fees have gone up, and the rate of unemployment is going up every day. How do you intend to get Britain back on its feet for the next generation?
Well, that's a good question, and Kaylee's right. I think that young people today, in a way, feel more under attack than any generation of young people for a very long time. You've got EMA, tuition fees, youth unemployment, really difficult to buy or rent a house, the environment, climate change. And I think we've got to talk about that intergenerational justice.
Do you regret not fighting harder to keep tuition fees down or at least lower?
Well, we did fight and we voted against it. Every Labour MP voted against it in the House of Commons. And unfortunately, the Liberal Democrats, you know, contrary to what they promised at the election, went with the Conservatives and decided to put them up. But we're going to try and fight to get them down, and that's the best thing we can do.
Do you actually promise to cut uni costs, or is it a lie just to get the students on side?
It's definitely not a lie, no. What I've said is that if we were in government now, we would do that. What I've also said is, though, I'm really worried that I don't want to make the same mistake that Nick Clegg made, because he made a promise on tuition fees and then he didn't keep it. So I'm saying, we'll come the next election, we'll set out our plans. If we were in government now, we'd make sure the maximum tuition fee was £6,000, and we'd pay for it by not going ahead with tax cuts for the banks, which is what the government is doing. But let's see where we are in 3.5 years. But I don't want to make a promise now and then say, well, actually, we might find it hard to keep it. So when it comes to the next election, we'll make our promises.
If maybe one day you get elected as Prime Minister, what will you do to ensure there's no more rioting, knife crime, teenage gangs? What will you do to ensure people, especially people with children and elderly citizens, to be safe again? Because in the media mostly they say that the kids that start these things are doing them because they are bored. But what is your take on that? Some say policing might not be enough. Is there a better alternative?
I think you need policing, and you never excuse, you know, what people do or did in the riots. But you've got to offer people hope. In the end, you've got to offer people hope. And I suppose what I found going to talk to people after the riots was that, look, people are making life decisions, and probably people watching this program are making life decisions, which is, do I stay on the straight and narrow? Do I go to college? Do I do the right thing? Or do I become a drug dealer, join a gang, all of those things? And you've got to make the benefits of going down the legitimate, the right route outweigh the benefits of the negative route, and you've got to persuade people away from those negative routes. And that's not just about financial benefits, it's about proper engagement with young people, offering them hope, offering them things that they can take them sort of towards their aspirations. I think hope in the end is the biggest and most important thing you've got to offer people, and hopelessness is a terrible thing, because I think it makes people feel like, well, either they just don't do anything or they go and do the wrong thing.
Another user, Mo, said Tony Blair had the charisma, Gordon Brown has the economic mind, and what do you have to offer as a leader of the Labour Party?
I said in my conference speech, I'm not Tony Blair or Gordon Brown. They were a different generation, and I'm from a new generation, and I think it's a new generation with new solutions, and that's new solutions now to get our economy going, and new solutions in the future. But look, I think that the problem we've got in our society is many people now feel our society is not working for me. It's not working for me, it's not giving me what I need. And we've got to be willing to change things without sort of preconceptions about the past. Whether it's the bankers and what's happening in the banks, we've got to change that. Whether it's what's happening in the energy companies, we've got to change that. Whether it's tuition fees, and we've got to be willing to say, look, stand up and say, we've got to change things, we've got to change the way the system works, because it isn't working for people. And that is requiring a big overturning of many of our assumptions. So I hope I'm the person who can bring change, who's not stuck in the old ways.
What do you think of the Occupy movement that is happening all over the world, and a capitalist free market that is driving our youth into poverty and crime? And what would you be prepared to do about it if elected?
Well, I'm for lawful protests, so anything that is legal, I'm for. I'm for people being able to make their voice heard. I think what's really interesting about these protests is that they are actually representing the views of more than a few hundred people. I think there's lots of people, millions of people, who feel the system's not working for me. This kind of free market capitalism isn't serving my interests. There are some people at the top 1%, who seem to be doing very well, and the other 99% is in real trouble and is really struggling. And we've got to have a politics and a society that serves the 99% as well as the 1%. And that's what's got to change. And I really know there are huge injustices in our country. We've got to change those injustices, and I don't believe those people who say, oh, nothing can ever change, it's always going to be unfair, it's always going to be a country just for the rich. We can change that.
And hopefully everyone sees that, because I might have had a stereotypical thing about politics, but speaking to you, I can definitely see there's something.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
Cheers.
Okay, man.
Thanks a lot, Jamal.
Hi folks, I'm very excited to discover that SBTV is organising a historic debate in Portcullis House in Westminster for all the locked-in young people. I think locked in, I'm told, is a technical term meaning switched on.